Hi, my name's Leafy and welcome to my YouTube channel. For the past 2 months, I have had an interest in Fiddleverse, but it's so niche, no one makes fan content about it, so I had to make my own. Let's get started. So, what is Fiddleverse? Fiddleverse is a story created by one of my friends, FiddleSticks. For the sake of understanding what I'm talking about, I will refer to FiddleSticks as just Fiddle. Fiddleverse is about fiddlings, the species that live in said universe. They have 2 forms, one of which is more like a human form, and the other which looks like very cuddly balls. Male and female fiddlings have differences. For example, female fiddlings have larger tails and are taller, and have dots instead of stripes on their hats. Fiddlings express their emotions with their eyes. Their mouth is almost always smiling. It has to take them a very extreme emotion for them to stop smiling. Due to their noses, they also can't kiss. And in Fiddleverse, kissing is touching noses. I personally find it very cute. Some of these are just small details, but it is very important to me that you know them. The story is about FiddleSticks and Stigglefix. There's also another canon character that has a design called FiddleSticks, but she hasn't shown up in the story yet and won't be mentioned any further in the video. FiddleSticks is a carefree fiddling who grew up in a loving but poor household. I don't have a lot to say about his childhood or parents because there isn't anything else that I know of in the canon universe. On the other hand, Stigglefix grew up in a wealthier but very cold household. He grew up always being controlled by his parents. He very rarely or never had any free will or choices to make. His parents are also homophobic. This is a very important detail to the story. Fun or maybe not so fun fact about Stigglefix's mother. When she was around Stigglefix's age, she was in love with a woman, but also had homophobic parents and got arranged to wed a man and then had a kid. Generational trauma, yay! Okay, let's get to the lore now. This was all written by Fiddle, and these are their words. I feel like in the story, Fiddle and Stiggle were closer as kids until Stiggle's parents found out about Stiggle's feeling for Fiddle via reading his diary, so they moved away and made sure all contact between the two were cut off. Later on, I imagine after Stiggle finally escapes or moves out of his parents' house and moves into an apartment where he just happens to move into the same place Fiddle lives, which is how they meet each other again. And from there, they start to reconnect again. But the problem is that Stiggle's old feelings start to resurface again after years just having to repress them. But the problem is that given Stiggle's upbringing, he doesn't want to or can't accept this, but the more he tries to deny his feelings, the more he feels. Now, there's like 2 endings to this. I'm gonna read the good ending first, and after that I'm gonna move on to the bad ending. It doesn't help that Fiddle is seemingly buddy-buddy with everyone, which causes Stiggle's jealousy to flare like a wildfire. I feel like on Fiddle's side, he also had feelings for Stiggle, but didn't get the chance to confess due to Stiggle's parents. But now, in the present, just like Stiggle, his feelings are starting to resurface, but the problem is that he knows Stiggle's homophobic, so in his head, Stiggle will never love him. He tries to distract himself with his passions, hobbies. Hell, he even tries to find other feelings in an attempt to fill the gaping hole in his chest, much to Stiggle's displeasure, but nothing works. I feel like, in the end, there will be a big thing of sorts that will end up happening between the two, but how that will end up going is for another time. There's also a comic that Fiddle drew of them, and I am going to show it on the screen now. Okay, let's move into the bad ending. But the problem is that given Stiggle's upbringing, he doesn't want to / can't accept this, but the more he tries to deny his feelings, the more he feels. He starts to avoid Fiddle, not really calling him or replying to his text much. Stiggle's been seeing Fiddle hang out with a particular fiddling more often. Stiggle can feel something building up, but tries to pay it no mind. I feel like on Fiddle's side, he also has feelings for Stiggle, but didn't get the chance to confess due to Stiggle's parents. But now, in the present, just like Stiggle, his feelings are starting to resurface, but the problem is that he knows Stiggle's homophobic, so in his head, Stiggle will never love him. He's been distracting himself with his hobbies and passions, and one day he happens to meet a fiddling with similar interests as him. As time goes on, Fiddle starts to become closer with the fiddling. This is the happiest he's felt in so long. Stiggle has started to become more and more irritable as each day passes by. He can't help but feel more isolated, even if he started it originally. And he keeps seeing the stupid fiddling face particularly all the time now. After days, weeks, Maybe even monstrous self-loathing, sleepless nights, and shed tears, Stiggles finally and begrudgingly come to terms with his feelings and plans to do something about them. Today, Stiggle decides to go and find Fiddle at the park. He likes to hang out and finally confess, but it seems like a certain feeling beat him to the gun. These are the official canon endings. There's another AU called Nightmare AU, but I don't have any information on that yet. Now that all the canon and canon AU stuff is over, let's get into the fan characters and AUs. I can unfortunately say that I am the only person with Fiddleverse fan characters as of 25th November 2025. My feeling is my persona as a fiddling, FiddleSticks. Her main purpose is to just exist. She wants FiddleSticks and Stigglefix to get married real quick. She has their wedding planned out and wants to be the priest that weds them. Like a lot. She's also brain-rotted, like very brain-rotted, like skippity sigma 6-7 type of shit. FiddleSticks doesn't really serve a purpose in the AU and probably, I don't think I mentioned her further either. My main call is Flublame. He is Blue Flame's fiddling version. His purpose is to make everyone's life a living hell, and his only personality trait is edgy. Kinda like those warrior cats, Scorcher's daughter OCs. His main evil plan is to poison Fiddlesticks, and he has no motive. He just wants to. He's pretty good friends with Stigglefix, and the two of them will in the end attempt to poison Fiddlesticks, but we will get to that later. Flublame and Stigglefix bonded over the mutual hatred of Fiddlesticks. Although Stigglefix feels guilty every time he talks bad about Fiddlesticks, in my AU, Fiddlesticks and Stigglefix end up together for a week, but it's all just a plan to pull a prank on Fiddlesticks. Stigglefix falls in love with Fiddlesticks during the dating phase and admits to himself. He realizes that he is in fact gay and comes out to his parents, leading him to run away from home due to the lack of acceptance. He stays at Flublame's garage and questions his entire life for a few days, and then being late to a date with Fiddlesticks. Fiddlesticks gets mad at him being late and starts talking about how he feels about Stigglefix. He explains he doesn't believe that Stigglefix could really love him, and because of all the mean things he has said to Fiddlesticks. Fiddlesticks breaks up their week-long relationship, and that sends Stigglefix down into a spiral. All he has left is Flublame, who isn't a good influence at all. Flublame convinced Stigglefix that his thoughts and feelings are invalid, and gets frustrated that Stigglefix didn't pull the prank on Fiddlesticks. Stigglefix is scared of losing Flublame and suggests that they try to poison Fiddlesticks now instead of later. Flublame is very surprised by that suggestion. On the day that they plan to poison Fiddlesticks, Flublame gets anxious. What if we poison ourselves? Is what he keeps thinking. Stigglefix tries to calm him down and tells him that it's just a feeling and it will pass and it's going to be alright, knowing full well that he wants to chicken out himself. Stigglefix calls Fiddlesticks to make up and Fiddlesticks shows up. The two of them drink together and seem to be doing well until Flublame joins them and says he will order more drinks for his gals. Flublame does so, but also spikes 2 drinks. He wants Stigglefix to die for actually catching feelings. He feels like Stigglefix betrayed him with that. The 3 of them drink, and Flublame drops dead. Stigglefix has switched Fiddlesticks and Flublame's drinks. Fiddlesticks feels very strong fear after seeing Flublame just die like that. This is the only time he has ever lost his smile. Stigglefix starts to explain what Flublame wanted to do, and halfway there he drops dead. Fiddlesticks is very confused and scared and goes to the hospital to get himself checked in and tested for literally every substance ever. His tests turn out negative and he is free to go. He goes on with his life, very confused about these events but continues living on.